Okay, we had a downpour, and I mean a downpour. It was pouring. I was setting up my mat, my tie vac, and everything. I should have been recording that. But right now I've got the tie vac down with my Nemo pad and my pillow, and I got my whoopee because it's not cold. But I do like something on top of me, and that's where the whoopee comes in handy. So inside here right now I got a light, stuff for the camera, my shoes, a coat in case it does get chilly in the morning, but it seems to be okay. I got a little bit of sprinkle going on. You probably can't hear it yet. But I am able to sit up, but my head hits a little bit, and that's what it down to the ground. So that's pretty good. Okay. Now normally I would move the mat into the middle so I wouldn't have this going on. But it's only like this because I got it on camera. So this is comfy. I mean, very, very comfortable because of the Nemo inflated mat. And it's rating of 4.5, which to be honest with you is way too warm for 50-degree weather. But got my pillow, which is kind of soft the way I like it. I could make it maybe a little bit stiffer, is what I could do. There we go. Yeah, that's a little better. I like to tuck it under my arm. There we go. Oh, it's around midnight. I'm actually tired. I've been working hard all day. Even to come out and set this up, because I really didn't feel like it, but I've said it over and over. If you don't practice with the gear you buy, you're not going to know what you're doing. That's the bottom line. And you don't only practice during the day, but you practice at night. Now I've done two setups with this tarp during the day, which really in this position is plow mode, which only took maybe 15 minutes. When I set it up tonight in the dark, it was a little longer. It took me about 25 minutes, I'd say. But I think if I did it a second time, I could get this down in 15 minutes pretty easy if I practice a little bit more and understand what I'm doing. It is totally dry in here. Even though it was outside pouring, everything is soaking wet. It is dry in here. So the nice thing about it, if you can get your tarp or your tent set up before it rains, that is nice. If you got to set it up in the pouring rain, that is stressful. It really is. I mean, you're literally pulling your tarp out, spreading it across the ground as flat as possible. And then you're going to throw your pack under it. Try to keep everything from getting soaking wet. You're going to get soaking wet. And then start setting up your tarp. And as your tarp goes up, hopefully everything inside of this material is dry, is what you're hoping for. And then you could start setting up your tie vac and your mat and so on and so forth. Now the tie vacs, this stuff here, it doesn't have much sound to it, you'll notice, because normally tie vac has a lot of noise to it. What I did with the tie vac when I first bought it is I washed it in my wash machine for 15 minutes to get it soaking wet. I threw it in my dryer for another 15 minutes with three tennis balls. And the tennis balls beat the hell out of it. Created all this, basically removing that crinkle sound. So it's pretty quiet compared to what it was before. If you know how noisy an emergency blanket is, tie vac can get twice as worse, unless you do that. Okay? So this is okay. I'm going to lay down and take a nap, and if it starts pouring again, I'll bring you back. if I wake up. Well, I woke up and decided to make some coffee. That's good. It's not too bad. After it rains, it gets damp, right? And it's woolly. It's pretty cool. I can see why the guys like this. You know, you put it on, and even though it's 50 or something degrees out here, it keeps the dampness off you when you got it on. Yet you're not super hot with it on. And I got a t-shirt on, and my arms were getting a bit chilly. I pulled the woolly over it, and it felt great. So that was pretty neat. But I think the rain is done. So I might stay here, or I might go in the house, play my game. But I'm going to keep an eye on it and see if it rains again. If it does, I'll run out here and see what we can see and do. But the mat's very comfortable. The Tyvek works. There's no uncomfort whatsoever. Nothing. You know. Other than with a tarp system, you're sitting on your butt, you're crawling around. You're doing the same thing with a tent. Now, hammock system's different, but hammock system, I do have a complete hammock system. I have older videos where I have a complete multicam setup, but it's no good for my dog. You know, my dog can't go inside my hammock. So it either has to be a tarp or it has to be a tent. Now, a tent is nice, but it doesn't carry as much room as this tarp does. I mean, this thing will hold my dog. I can make coffee, you know. And it just has a lot more room for the weight ratio, right? Because this tarp's about 2.5 pounds. My Dan Durson tent's about 3 pounds. Well, okay, add the Tyvek, which weighs ounces. Add the Neo pad, which weighs a pound. I believe the woolly's a pound. So 2, 3, 4. You're just under a 5-pound setup for being out of the rain and having shelter. That's pretty impressive if you really think about it. Now, if you go to tent's a lot smaller, not as much room. It probably has the same weight, but it has less room, where this has more room. So we'll see. I kind of like this. I really do. It's really, really growing on me. I can see why a lot of guys like this. And in a way, having a tarp system, it's almost like having 8 tents in one. You know, you can make the plow, you can make the teepee, you can make, you know, all these different setups. You can put a door on it. You can turn this into a tent if you want to have a setup for that. I mean, once you get some skills on using a tarp, you know, depending on your environment and what you're dealing with, you can, it's like carrying a multifunctional tent. So that's pretty impressive. All right, if it starts pouring, I'll get back to you guys.